Welcome. Today's video is gonna be a review. I know I'm a little late to the review train, but the reason why I waited a week to make this video is because I wanted to delve deeper into the endgame content and just give an overall summary of what I thought of the patch and just what I would grade it. But before I dig into the dislikes, I do need to praise Kuro a little bit and just acknowledge the changes that they've made that made everything easier and far more enjoyable to play. Number one is being the traversal. You fixed this and I love you for it. The flight and the freaking loot box searcher, thank you so much for giving us that whole traversal system. I kid you not, there have been many times when I've been playing and grinding for astrites that I either A, gave up entirely to look for that one treasure chest that the map is saying there is something here, but I just can't find it. There have been multiple times where I would just leave it and just say, you know what, I hope Kuro fixes this. And thank you, you fixed it. Another thing you fixed was the circumference, the range of area that you can search for loot boxes. So thank you for putting that into it. Another change you did for the patch is simplifying the reward system and being able to grab everything in one go. So thank you for doing that and giving us another reason to be lazy. So thank you. Other than that, the gameplay, you improved phenomenally with the gameplay. The gameplay is so good. Not only that, the Easter eggs that you've implemented into the games through the surveys that you've given us. So thank you for actually listening to us and putting the things that we would want to see in the games. For instance, you did the Transformers Easter egg in the promotionals for Augusta. I enjoyed it, where the sword started to gather into the whole Wuthering Waves title. Thank you, that was cool. I like that. Another Easter egg that you did was the Jurassic Park Easter egg, where we're hunting the dinosaur, and Augusta basically says, "Clever girl," you know? And that, to me, was really a nod towards Jurassic Park, and I enjoyed that you listened to the players and just said, hey, here you go, I hope you enjoy it. The little things matter. It really does. Another one that you do is you mash the Marvel Venom and Lord of the Rings Sauron into one character with the False Sovereign. That shit was dope. I loved that. That whole fight mechanic and that whole fight sequence was golden. It was cinema. I enjoyed it. So thank you, Kuro, for actually listening to your players and actually implementing the changes that you would want players to see. So thank you. So you're doing something good. Now, the things that I disliked, and I'll go through this chronologically through the story, but the one thing that I disliked vehemently, am I saying that right? Really bad, is the whole dialogue situation, because this patch was really dialogue heavy, and for me, I love dialogue. It gives me more information towards what the characters are doing, what motivates them to do things and what has them doing such action. So I love dialogue, but what I don't like is when dialogue ruins the immersion. When we're talking with a character, you give us the option to have certain dialogue. You give us choices. What I don't like is when you give us one option and only one option. Now, mind you, I don't mind that. I don't. But what I don't like is when you do multiple of that or 4 different dialogue option choices, where I am seeing only one option dialogue choice for 4 different choices. You see where I'm going with this? And it got to the point where it broke the immersion for me personally, where I went, alright, why not just pay the voice actors extra dough, just to say that one option that you have repeated over and over and over. Because I've noticed that there were a lot of different options that you gave us. But even then, another gripe that I had was, even if you did give us multiple options, the outcome is the same. Now, hear me out. When I say that is, I want those outcomes to have consequences to them. And I know you can do it, Kuro. I know you can do it. Because you have proof that you can do it. That's where you get me a little agitated. Just a little bit. Let me explain. So, in 2.5, at the end of the quest, you go into Frolova's domain. And in Frolova's domain, you have the option to talk to Frolova and interact with her. In this interaction, you have two choices to say. Either A, I'm here to look at the music that you've curated, or B, I'm here to basically keep an eye on you. And both options have different outcomes. So I know you can do it. You just chose not to do it for this patch, which kind of drives me a little nutso. Because there's proof that you can do it. You just chose not to do it. Immersion is very critical when it comes to dialogue-heavy content like this patch specifically. And the first break in immersion was the single option dialogue choices. That's where you broke me a little bit. And that's where I docked you points just a little bit for that. The other immersion break that I had when we were playing the game is the hometown of Augusta. You do really well with presenting the character Augusta. Presentation at the first beginning, like 20 minutes of the gameplay, phenomenal. It was really good. I enjoyed it. I was invested in this hunt. I was invested. But once you got to the dialogue and the single option started popping up, and just only that one single option popped up, you kind of lost me just a little bit. But then the kicker came when you went into the not Frolova, but Augusta's hometown, and the presentation for that really broke all immersion. Now, mind you, you show a lot of important details in this sequence, like the background of Augusta, what kind of person she was growing up, why she is who she is, and what motivates her, and what got her to her station, and all of that important details. So what really kind of bothers me is you can present the character really well, but you made a conscious decision to not give this presentation level that you did in the beginning in this crucial moment where we're learning about the background of Augusta. If anything, the only feedback I would have for this is to do something similar to Chang Li's story quest that you have, the companion quest, where we follow a younger Chang Li and we basically discover all of her past sequences through echoes, like you do in this one with Augusta. But the only difference is we see Chang Li, we see Augusta, and we see the emotional impacts that the choices that she's made or the choices others have made around her be impacted in that sequence. And I'm gonna be completely honest, that whole sequence right there really ruined a lot of things for me, but it was probably the most important sequence in the game entirely. Not the game, but the story quest entirely, because it shows you what kind of person Augusta is, and that presentation was poorly done, in my personal opinion. I wish they put a bit more effort towards this, because I know they can do it. You go through the first half of this game and you see them presenting Augusta in that power pose. We know, Kuro, that you can do it. You just chose not to present this portion, this important dialogue sequence, and gave it dog shit presentation. If it's important details like this, put a bit more effort behind it, please. There were moments where I was looking at the Echo characters and going, that kid's smiling in a very depressive scene. It ruins the mood. It ruins the immersion. It breaks all that immersion that you built all the way from the beginning to this. And I'm trying so hard to kind of gain that retention back and just understanding that, oh, there might have been budget cuts, but at the same time, it was such a bore to basically walk through. And there were moments like you were talking to a wall. Like, what is this? Like, what happened? What happened? The presentation was so good at the beginning, but then towards the middle section, you kind of said, like, but other than that, once you get past that snooze fest of a dialogue, which is very important, so I wouldn't be surprised if most people kind of skip through that and just don't understand what kind of character Augusta is. I get it. But Kuro, you could have made this story similar to Cardathia's storyline, where you get that emotional attachment to the character, because the freaking dialogue you have is emotional stuff. Like, there's so much emotion within it, but you chose to present it in a way that bored the audience in a way. And that was the one part where I was like, oh no, what are you doing, Kuro? And this is something that I noticed with Kuro specifically, is when their story is really good, their presentation is meh. Or if their presentation is really good, their story is meh or confusing. Or if their gameplay is really good, something else is lacking. There's always something else that's lacking. That's just something that I've noticed throughout the patches recently, and I feel like this patch specifically was overhyped. And the reason to why it was overhyped is this Murmurwood portion that kind of tanked the whole entire story and just broke immersion entirely. But it gets that back up by getting into the combat sequence, and the combat is the only reason to why I kind of stayed playing it and just stayed progressing through the story. So other than that, story-wise, I would give this a solid 6 just because of that immersion break. And it was difficult to come back into that immersion. And oy vey, it was... I love dialogue as much as the next person, but the best way I would describe this patch to someone and compare it to a movie, I would compare it to Dune. It's very dialogue heavy, is very focused on Augusta, on what she wants, what she is as a character, what kind of person she is, and what motivates her. And Dune does the same thing, where it basically lays the foundation to Paul Atreides to bring out that badass, deep version of Paul Atreides. And you see that in this patch. Now, once we get to the end of the quest, that's where it gets a little bit harder to kind of justify giving it a better score because of the consequences. By consequences, I mean the rover that we have. I hate the fact that every patch that we have, it ends in a Disney tale ending. What I mean by that is it's always a happy ending. It's never a, oh shit, this happened because of this. Rover is broken at this point. There's like the power level between the characters and just the importance of Rover is kind of diminished by this. Like, bro, what the, like, all the choices that Rover's made thus far has him winning, and the outcome that I would have personally wanted in this patch would have been a ending where they don't win fully, but they understand what they need to do, if that makes sense. The most comparable thing I could compare it to, a film, would be Avengers Infinity War, where basically the heroes lose and you see them fall. You see that a little bit in 2.5, and I wish they did a bit more of that, and just the consequences start building up, and I want to see that. And really, 2.6, the phase 1 patch, really gave more questions than answering them. Like, all the questions that we've had are just locked on. There's more questions that are being made in this patch compared to them being answered. So I'm really hoping Kuro finds a way to tie up all the loose ends towards this next patch that they're going to be releasing soon, because I kid you not, as I'm recording, I'm seeing all the other 2.7 promo going on right now. So I'm really hoping Galbrina, the character that they've teased towards the end of this phase 1 patch, that there is some importance to her. If I'm missing something, let me know. Educate me, please. But let me know what you thought about this, and just put it down in the comments. I want to see what you guys are speculating, because there's a lot of questions that I have personally going, what's going on, really? So this patch entirely is basically a foundational firm of what's to come next. And because of that, it's a hard 6. Nothing higher. I couldn't grade it any higher than a 6 because of it not answering all the things that I would have liked it to answer, and just overall the things that kind of broke the immersion of the story. And just, oy vey. I know Kuro can do it. They've done it before. And that's the thing that disappoints me a lot, because I know they can do it, but they chose not to do it in this patch. So, to wrap things up, the story, 6. I can't go any higher. I honestly couldn't. The improvements that they did, phenomenal. But let me put in a bit more improvements that you can kind of fix for future reference. Fix the dialogue, please. The dialogue choices. Give some consequences to us. Give us some reason to choose X, Y, or Z. Another thing, this is the one thing that I've noticed with the recent patches, because now we have the nightmare farms. So the echoes, please give us a way to gather all of them at once, rather than go to each individual echo and grabbing them. Because boy, oh boy, it is such a bother to go through each and every one of those echoes to gather. Like, at this point, I'm asking for the moon, but Kuro, I've seen you do bigger things than this. Like, for example, the flight. I know there's a way you can do this. I know there's a way you can fix this. So please fix some of the things that we have. And if anything, if I missed any of the things that you'd like to get fixed, put them in the comments. I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking. But overall, the whole patch, the puzzles that they give, so good. For one, I enjoy the fact they don't give repetitive things. Otherwise, it'd be grindy as hell, and I do not like that. That's the main reason to why I kind of go on and off with Zenless Zone Zero, because it's such a grindy game, and it feels like a chore to play. But other than that, I love how Wuthering Waves specifically, they give us content in different formats. For example, the new endgame content that they gave us, the puzzle, instead of instead of making all the colors one color, we're now gathering the colors into different formats. And I love how they implement new ideas and test different things to gauge the audience members and gauge the player base to see what hits and what doesn't hit. So please let me know if there's anything that I've missed, if there's anything that you'd like to see Kuro even improve on. If you agree, disagree, let me know. I'm not right all the time. Shit, I might have missed a few things in the story. So let me know. If you love the content, if you want to see more of this, let me know by liking the video, and please subscribe so that you can get caught up with everything that I upload. It's every Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard. So that's gonna be it for me. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and hopefully you learned something new. But that's gonna be it for me. All right, peace.